Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Saturday online class. This is for May 23rd, 2020. We've got this one. Next week is going to be online as well, and then the week after we are actually going to get back and do some golf in person at Richmond Country Club. So really looking forward to that. If your parents have not sent me an email to let me know you guys are coming, please make sure they do. If you guys show up and you haven't signed up, I may have to turn you away because we got to make sure we have enough coaches for how many kids are coming. So there's some rules that we'll send out this next week. First things first though, your parents have to email me or call me and let me know if you guys are coming. So hopefully you guys get that done this week, and then we'll be back at it. I believe that's Saturday, June 6th, for a regular class 1 to 2:30, and then the week after will be a play day. So again, really looking forward to seeing you guys. Hopefully you guys are watching this, and as we get back into it, I want to refocus on some of the most important things we've gone over, and we talked a little bit about chipping, controlling the trajectory, the 3 different types of chip. I want to get into that a little bit more this week, more the technique of hitting a low one, medium, or high trajectory chip shot. So again, these are all going to be close around the green. These are going to be somewhere, we're going to work mostly once we get back on the golf course, somewhere 10 yards off the green or a little bit closer. And then when each shot is built for how far the pin is onto the green. So if the pin's real close to the front of the green and you don't have a whole lot of green to work with, then we're going to use a high one. As we have more and more space, then we're going to use a lower trajectory. What we're going to try and do, and we'll talk to everybody about their different clubs once we get in person and I take a better look at what you have in your set. But we're really going to utilize your pitching wedge, your sand wedge, and if you have one, your lob wedge. If you just have a pitching wedge, that's fine. If you just have, if you have a sand wedge, I'm hoping you have a pitching wedge. That'd be great. We really would love to have you have a pitching wedge and a sand wedge. So at least 2 wedges. And if it's a pitching wedge, lob wedge, that's fine too. Again, we'll take a look at your bags when we do get back on property here in a couple weeks. So we'll go through all that stuff, and then we'll work on probably a couple drills here today, and then really these 4 alignment sticks that I have set down here and 3 rubber golf balls are just going to be good visuals for you to realize how we set up differently, some of the pitfalls that we have when we do try and hit it, different trajectories, what the common mistakes are, and how to fix them. So here we go. As I mentioned in the intro video there, it's going to be very important for us to know what clubs we want to use and are supposed to use when we do get into a situation where we need to hit a chip shot. There's going to be different clubs. So, we've got usually 14. That's the most we can carry in a golf bag. If you have a full set of clubs, you usually have 14. Some people 13, but never any more than 14. And each one has their own little purpose, right? They're subgroups, okay? So we've got fairway woods. We've got a 3-wood and a 5-wood maybe. One goes, they're built to hit a long way and off the ground. We've got the driver, we've got the putter, we've got a lob wedge, we've got the irons, maybe a 3-iron through a 9-iron. And then we have our wedges. So our wedges are going to be mostly utilized for chipping, okay? And we're still going to use those and know how to hit those for full shots, but that's getting into a different subject. So for right now, we're just going to focus on wedges and using them for our short game, specifically for chipping purposes, okay? So wedges, that would be your pitching wedge, that would be your sand wedge, that would be your lob wedge. For some of you might have a Titleist in your bag that doesn't have letters on it. It doesn't say SW or PW for pitching wedge. It's going to say degrees, okay? Well, if you do see the degrees, and we'll go through this again if you guys have those once I see you in person, the higher the degree, the higher the trajectory, the natural trajectory. So when we talk about just the natural trajectory, that would be if we're hitting kind of a medium chip shot and the shaft of the club is straight up and down, okay? And we're giving it its stated loft, okay? So that 52, that 54, that 56, whatever's written on the bottom of that club is how much loft is on the club, okay? So from 90 degrees, how much loft is the club face? This is going to obviously be a lot less than this would be, okay? So the higher the loft, the higher the number, the higher the ball's going to go. That's going to make it easier to hit those a higher trajectory, right? But each one's going to have its own high trajectory. You could hit a high 6-iron, okay? It may not be as high as a low 9-iron, but it's still a high shot for the 6-iron. So there's times where you're going to utilize that stuff. Now when we get into chipping, again, we're just talking about wedges here. We don't want to go to the 9-iron, 8-iron, 7-iron. I don't think there's any need for it. When we break it down, let's say you have a pitching wedge and a sand wedge, okay, myself, I have a pitching wedge, sand wedge, and a lob wedge. For you guys with just 2 wedges, that gives us 6 shots around the green, 6 options to choose from chipping, because we can hit a low pitching wedge, medium, high, there's 3 there, or we could hit a low sand wedge, medium or high, there's another 3 there. So you got 6 shots, that's enough for you guys to start with. And as you add more clubs and we add more shots, there's going to be more options to choose from when you do get around the green. So how do we decide what club to hit, and how do we decide what trajectory to use? What's the most, what gives us the best chance of hitting a good shot and getting it close to the pin with a little margin of error? Because rarely are we going to hit it absolutely perfect. Okay, so our rule that we're going to try and think of whenever we come up to a green and we see our ball just off the green, it's too far away to putt it. You know, it's always a great option if we can putt it first. I'd love to see you guys do that. But what we want to try and focus on is what club or what shot allows us to use the lowest lofted club. So for most of us, that would be pitching wedge, okay, and hit it the lowest trajectory possible. So a low pitching wedge is going to go pretty low, right? If we're able to hit a low pitching wedge, that means we're relatively close to the green. Maybe we're only 3, 4, 5 yards off the green, and then it gives us a lot of room on the green for the ball to roll out. Because a low pitching wedge is not going to spin, it's not going to stop quick. It's going to it's going to get very low to the ground, cover a very short space in the air, and then roll out a lot more. Okay, so if that doesn't work, and you can see up and hopefully you can start to visualize the shots when you walk up to the green. If that's not going to work and you don't think you can stop the ball in time, and keep in mind we do want to land it on the green, okay? Because I could hit a low pitching wedge from 60 yards away, but I can't stop it on the green and stop it next to the pin too. It's just going to roll all the way through, right? So what I want to be able to do is land it somewhere 4 to 5 feet on the green, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. It's not an absolute strict number there, and then have it stop right next to the pin. Okay, so if I was 5 yards off the green and the pin is only 3 yards on, so 9 feet, not a whole lot of space, and I've got to carry 15 feet of grass before I get to the green. Can I hit a low pitching wedge? No. Can I hit a medium pitching wedge? No. Can I hit a high pitching wedge? Probably not. Okay, can I hit a low sand wedge? Maybe. Can I hit a medium sand wedge? Probably. So that's the progression I want you guys to go through your head when you're picking your shot. I just thought of that shot in my head and went through all the different clubs, lowest lofted club first with the lowest trajectory. So we're going to go pitching wedge, low, nope, medium, nope, high, nope. Then we're going to go sand wedge, low would be a little bit higher than the low pitching wedge, right? That's not going to do it. And then medium, probably okay, you know, and then that's when that comes into play when we get out on the golf course, you practicing those shots, right? Seeing how much they roll out and what you're comfortable with. And you might even end up with a favorite shot that you lean towards, that you feel a little bit more comfortable with, and that's fine too. That's all stuff that we'll work through. So for now, as we're learning this though, let's start with the basics and learn those progressions, how to go through it, how to get us a starting point of what club to pick, and also what trajectory to hit to be the most successful. Okay, hopefully you guys can see okay what we've got set up here. I've got 3 yellow alignment sticks, okay, and this is, again, you guys don't need to set this up at home. This is just going to be more for visual, and you guys can rewatch this video as many times as you want. Hopefully you guys are, move this stuff into the backyard and you can hit a couple shots with me while we're doing this. I'll show you this, and then we're going to go through the, me actually hitting a couple of these from the low position, medium, and high. Now, hopefully you guys can guess already as I step into kind of this visual area here for you, or visual aid section of the video, what the white line entails. That's going to be our target line, right? And then also what these 3 alignment sticks and 3 golf balls match up to. Which trajectory is which, okay? I've got a 54 degree in my hand, so that's basically a sand wedge. Now, if I put the club back here, what trajectory am I hitting? Hopefully you said low, right? Every time we play it back, we're going to have it at least planned for a low trajectory shot. Now, again, if you remember from the last video, when we do play the golf ball back, we also open our stance. So it's difficult to see from this angle, but my feet are not lined up parallel left of the target line. Okay, so here's my toe line right here. I think I said target line earlier. So toe line here is the white one. That would be running parallel left of my target. When I play the golf ball back, because of where we're hitting the golf ball, kind of on our swing circle. You can see there, it kind of makes a, the bottom half of a circle. If we move that golf ball back, when we get back to the golf ball here, assuming we keep our head in the middle of our chest, our shirt buttons in front of the golf ball, that club face is going to be pointed a little bit right. Okay, that's why we're going to aim a little bit left. Now when we move up to the medium one, and what you'll notice here, okay, is we go from a low trajectory chip shot. You can see where my head is, basically right over that middle alignment stick, all right, but my hands right in the middle too, and then the club way back. All I'm doing is setting my wrists a little bit differently. Okay, now as I move up to my medium, okay, ball's a little closer to me. Okay, I'm going to square up my feet so now they're parallel left, but my head's in the same position, my hands are in the same position, my left wrist is a little bit different though, right? Now that I have the club head right in the middle of my stance with the golf ball, there's a little bit of cupping in the back of the left wrist. This is much more similar to what we would see when we're setting up to a full golf shot. So when we're back here, again, I'm going to open the stance a little bit. You can see that golf ball's basically on the outside of my right foot. Now my left wrist is a little bit flatter, okay? And then as we go to the middle, it starts to cup, okay? Again, that's cupping that way, that's bowing, and that's flat. So middle is going to be just a little bit cupped, square stance, because we're not playing the golf ball way back. And then the tricky one for the one up front, when we want to hit it much higher, we're going to get a little wider stance, and now we're going to lean forward a little bit, okay? So now you can see there's a lot of cupping in my left wrist, okay? My hands are still in the same spot relative to my knees, right in the middle of my belt buckle, okay? And that club head is a little bit ahead of it. You can see the shaft's actually leaning backwards that way a little bit, okay? So if you look at these three setups again, we've got low, we're going to aim left, head's right in the middle of our stance, okay? As we get to medium, we're going to square up, golf ball's right in the middle of our stance, head and hands are in the same position, we've just changed where the club head is, and then if we want to go higher, we're going to go a little bit wider with the stance, and you can see that's now on my left heel. Lean forward, okay, get that head forward a little bit, and we'll go through that once I start taking some swings here, why we want the head forward, why we lean forward with the high shot. It's a little bit counterintuitive. Usually if you're hitting a tennis ball or if you're trying to hit a baseball way up in the air, you're going to swing back that way, right? That's one of the big no-nos in chipping, okay? Any short game shot, whether it's bunker, pitch shot, chip shot, anything trying to help it up and leaning backwards is going to be big, big trouble for the result of the shot. Okay, it's going to be very, very hard to be consistent and get the results that we want. Okay, so again, back foot, just outside the right heel is going to be our low setup, ball position, medium, right in the middle, shaft straight up and down, high, wider stance, and then off our left heel is where the ball is going to be played. Okay, so that's the basics of where we're going to play the golf ball for each one. This is something I really, really want to see you guys get down. This is really simple. It's going to help you a ton right off the bat just playing the ball in the right spot. If you're trying to hit a high shot from a medium position this way, or even worse from way back here, or vice versa, we're trying to hit a low one from up here, you're going to cause a lot of issues, and it's going to be really difficult to be as consistent as you want. So pay attention to this, keep this visual in mind. 3 sticks, right? Outside the right foot, middle of our stance, and then a little wider, and on the left heel for high. All right, so here we are setting up to setting up for a low chip shot. We know all the main keys, right? We're gonna aim our feet a little bit left. Our feet are gonna be pretty close together. We're gonna be pretty well balanced, okay? We don't need to lean too far on the left. We don't need 80% of our weight here or back. We're gonna be pretty even, all right? You can see I've got about 50-50 on each foot. And I want really good posture. I want you to feel like your chest is up a little bit, okay? We don't wanna be hunched over or rolling our shoulders over, ducking down, getting closer to it. Don't need to chip or don't need to choke down on the grip. We're gonna hold it right how we normally would. All right, and then we're gonna have full extension in our arms. We don't wanna have, any of this stuff. That's just gonna change where it is as we swing through. Once we get some speed going with our arms and our hands, it's gonna be tough to keep that same relationship of how far the club is to the ground if our arms are bent this way. We can keep them straight, standing tall, feeling like the chest's up a little bit. Weight's even. We're going to keep our head forward right where it is and just rock our chest back and hips through. Okay, you can see there, really short shot, and I still had a little bit of weight coming off that back foot, right? If that was, if I had to guess, maybe that one was gonna fly 5 yards and roll out another 5. So about 50-50. That was my low 54 degree, okay? Now what most people tend to do, a lot of people I see play the golf ball far too forward when they're trying to hit a low shot. So the main theme I want you guys taking from these videos, the last chipping one and this one, is the importance of ball position and head position, where we start our head and where we keep it during the golf swing, okay? So when we have it in the back of our stance, again, too many people play it middle or something like this, and then they try and do it with their hands and get it way out in front this way. That's when you end up chunking them, that's when you end up digging it in a little bit. If we could set up properly, that takes away the chance of chunking it. And then the other part that helps with that as well is keeping our head forward. If we get our head to go back and try and help that ball up in the air, we're not going to be very successful. If we can keep our head where it is, turn back and turn through, we're going to get really good contact, really solid contact every single time. So again, when we set up here, and you'll notice if I'm here and I start to move backwards as I swing, if I'm here and try and help it up, you're going to notice my club wants to naturally bottom out too far back. As I move my head position throughout the chipping motion, if I'm here, okay, the more I move my head forward, the bottom of that swing moves forward with it, right? The bottom of our swing is where our sternum is. Our sternum is right here, right where those shirts are on your golf shirt. If you're wearing one, right in the middle of your chest here. Okay, that's called your sternum. That's where I want you to think of the bottom of your swing. And when we're chipping, we want to hit the golf ball first, and then really just a little bit of the ground. We're not hitting down into the ground. We're not trying to take a big divot. We just want to be able to sweep it off the grass that way. And the easiest way to do that is keeping our arms straight the entire time. You can see, maybe there's a little wrist hinge, but not much. I'm keeping my arms very straight. I'm not getting any wrist hinge going back. We want to keep it as consistent and as simple as possible. This is one of the most basic shots we use, and we're going to use it a lot around the golf course. So let's try and get good at it. Let's focus on ball position, feet left, standing tall, arms extended, turn back with the chest, and a little bit through with the hips. Okay, keep that head forward of the golf ball. Don't let it move backwards. And don't let your wrists come over and try and help it up in the air. So as we move from where we were just learning about the low chip shot into the medium. Low was feet a little bit left, okay, and the ball position back. Now we're going to square up our feet. Now our toe line is going to be parallel left of our target line. Still going to stand pretty close to it, but what we're going to worry about is really having good posture. And now we're going to have a little bit more weight on the front foot, okay? We're still going to be very balanced, still standing tall, still feeling like our chest is up a little bit, okay, or our chin is up, but we're going to focus on where our hands are, right in the middle of our knees or right on our belt buckle. And then same motion as we talked about with the low one, just maintaining our weight transfer, our weight balance. Here I'm about 60% on my front foot, 40% on my back. Keeping my head still slightly in front of the golf ball, back and through. And we'll see the trajectory on that as it leaves the screen. It's already a little bit higher, right? Same club, same golf swing, same motion. All I did was change setup, all right? And the most important things, again, any of these shots, when we're talking low, medium, high, you're gonna hear me talk about it each and every time, is where your head is. Do not let that thing go backwards and help it. You are going to hit behind it, or you're going to pull your hands up and you're going to hit the top of the golf ball and it's going to go skidding all the way across the green. Okay, so we want to have solid contact. That's the most important part of these shots. If we get solid contact, very rarely will you miss this shot a lot. You're not going to swing 20 yards too hard. If you hit bad, it might go 20 yards too far or 20 yards too short. So the most important thing is going to be solid contact. That's going to be a lot to do with where our weight is as we set up, where we maintain that weight throughout the swing, and also where our sternum is, where our head is, and our posture. Okay, so a lot to think about, but as you get used to it, it becomes a little bit easier. Back and through. If we keep our head forward, don't let it tilt too far back, especially as we turn back. Don't let it go back there with you. Keep it where it is, turn around it, and you're going to get good contact most of the time. All right, as we progress through the 3 different shots here, 3 different trajectories of our chipping game, we're all the way to the high one. Okay, this is going to be a fun one. Too many of you guys are hitting flop shots, and you guys are going to love this shot once we get out there, because you're going to know how high you can hit it without having to do that big crazy aim way left, open the club face, big wrist hinge, big release. We don't have to do any of that anymore. We're going to use our wedge. Normally if I was hitting, you know, really high one, I'd hit more than my 54 degree. I'd go straight to my 58. But in this case, I want to show you how much you can do. And this is actually a 54 degree, so you'll see how high this comes off the screen. Just again, to recap, low shot, we're going to go over this as many times as we need to. Low shot was 50-50 balance. Okay, head in the middle, hands in the middle of our stance, golf ball back off our right heel, feet aimed a little left. Now as we move into medium, start leaning a little bit more forward. Now we're about 60-40, okay, because that's helping us keep our head forward. We want to play this golf ball off of our right ear as we're setting up to it. Hands right in the middle, head right there, just slightly ahead, 60-40. And then as we, again, when we take it back, we maintain that head position and weight transfer or weight balance, 60 on the front foot, 40% on the back. Now as we go to the high one, this is a little bit different because we're going to take a little wider stance, okay, not much, maybe just another foot. I just basically moved my foot from the inside of this front stick to the outside of it, all right, and then we're going to get a little lower with the knees, a little bit more balance, and now we're going to get even more weight forward. We're going to get about 70% on that forward foot. Open the stance, or open the club face just a little bit, and you can see now, golf ball's pretty much on my nose, maybe even a little bit farther in front of that. I'm really leaning forward, but my hands are back, all right? And then we do the same motion. It's gonna be really easy when we're hitting a high one to let our head rock backwards and let our weight transfer back. We don't want any of that. We wanna keep the weight forward, big cup in that left wrist, and then same motion, back and through. Not sure if you guys can see, but I got a table right there, so I had to shorten it a little bit. There you go. Now you guys heard me hit the table. Okay. So with that much loft, with the 54, we're able to get it up off the ground, get it straight up in the air using the loft of the club. Not using our wrists, not using a ton of speed. That gets really risky. There's times, they're rare, but there are times where we'll need that shot, but not on these basic ones. I want you guys to learn the basic high chip shot before you guys get into the more advanced ones, flop shot. Of course, we're always gonna have fun with those. We're always gonna try them, but you gotta at least learn this shot and know it before you can start to be successful or relatively successful with a shot as difficult as the flop shot is. Okay, so hopefully this cleared things up a little bit. Low, medium, high, when to hit those, how you make the decision to hit those. Again, that goes back to lowest lofted club possible, right? Lowest lofted wedge, whether it's our pitching wedge or, you know, some people will go to a 9-iron. I'm not a big fan of that. So we're gonna stick with the pitching wedge. Lowest lofted club with the lowest trajectory possible. You know, you're not gonna be able to hit a low pitching wedge on every shot. There are gonna be ones where you have to hit a high sand wedge. So I want you guys to know all 3 different trajectories. All 3, you know, different. I want you guys to learn how high each one of your clubs goes. That's just going to be out on the golf course hitting practice shots, and that's why we do the clinics that we do, so you guys can get some practice in and learn a little bit as well. So look forward to seeing you guys June 6th. Another reminder, please remind your parents to call me or send me an email and let me know if you guys are coming on the 6th. I do need to know who's going to be there. All right. Have a great week, everybody. See you in a couple weeks, and take care.